to the show. So what's been happening? Did anyone else see the terrifying attack on King Charles?
A man has been arrested after appearing to throw eggs at the King and the Queen Consort while they were on a walkabout in York.
They'd arrived for a civic greeting. But this wasn't the welcome to York they'd expected. 4 eggs flung at the King.
It is so British. In America, they got guns. Here, get down! He's got an egg! I don't know why they were worried. If they hit his fingers, it would have looked like a delicious breakfast. But the news lost their mind. They even showed it in slow motion.
Slowed down, you can see how close some of the eggs came to hitting their intended target.
Protect the King. They're trying to turn him into an omelette. No. They took it so seriously. I'm surprised they didn't do this interview.
Can you explain what it was like to be right in the heart of the attack on the King?
Hello, I'm an egg.
Thank you. So silly. The papers were just as bad. King Charles's brave remarks after being pelted with eggs revealed. And what were these words of courage? Everything all right? He couldn't give a shit. The only way he could have been less bothered would have been if he pointed at the eggs and went, "Look, Camilla, the floor's messier than my relationship with Harry." So, how did the police deal with the suspect? A hefty fine? Prison sentence? Nope. Student who pelted King and Queen banned from carrying eggs in public. Only in this country. In some parts of the Middle East, he'd lose his hands. Here, he's not allowed to take his breakfast for a walk. Do you know who I feel sorry for? The policeman who has to check. Can you imagine him down the station? Just on a drug bust, you?
Followed a student around Tesco.
It's so British. It's nearly as British as what the audience in Birmingham did when Kendrick Lamar started his concert late.
He's having a shit. He's having a shit. Kendrick Lamar. He's having a shit.
Now, in political news, another tough week for the Tories.
The government insists that the Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, values civil servants after claims that he was rude to staff.
Not only is he rude, he's also pathetic. Look at this. He was accused of chucking 3 Pret a Manger tomatoes in a fit of rage. It's the most middle-class assault ever. Step back or I'll turn you into a bruschetta. Mind you, the news was shocked. Apparently, they interviewed someone who was in the room.
Can you explain what it was like to be right in the heart of Dominic Raab's attack?
I don't know. I'm a fucking tomato. Incredibly, it's not just Dominic Raab. Did you hear about Gavin Williamson?
Cabinet Minister Sir Gavin Williamson steps down over allegations of bullying.
So, did he call someone a snowflake? Leave a passive-aggressive note?
He's reported to have told a civil servant to slit their throat and jump out of a window.
Wow. Now, not only is that shocking, it's impossible.
How to open a window.
There's more. Look how he dealt with civil servants.
Sir Gavin said,
Always tell them to off, and if they have the to come and see me, jumped up civil servants.
Fucking civil servants. They should shoot themselves in the face and then give themselves a Chinese burn. He's an absolute maniac. Did you hear what he had on his desk?
This is a man who, when he was chief whip himself, was known as the baby-faced assassin. He had an actual whip on his desk, as well as a pet tarantula.
Is he in fucking Slytherin? I mean, Christ, check out the spider's name. He called it Cronus.
We must bide our time, Cronus. For soon the Dark Lord will return.
What makes all these bullying accusations even worse is that 2 years ago, Gavin made this video.
This week, Anti-Bullying Week, is a chance to thank schools and teachers for everything they do to make the classroom a safe place for every child to thrive. Bullying is never acceptable.
Bullying is never acceptable.
This is a civil servant and your spider longs for their muggle blood.
Such a piss take, isn't it? Here's how that advert should have looked.
Bullying is never acceptable. Every school must have anti-bullying policies in place so that no pupil fears coming to school or working online. We can make sure every child grows up feeling confident and free to be themselves and stamp out bullying.
Thank you, madam. Yes! Mind you, it's not just Gavin. His colleagues are just as mad.
A group of whips so disliked him that they had a discussion about whether they could come in early one morning, release the pet tarantula and stamp it to death.
Is everyone involved in politics a psychopath? I'm not a massive fan of Piers Morgan. I don't want to headbutt his budgie. Also, didn't Rishi say this 3 weeks ago?
This government will have integrity, professionalism, and accountability at every level.
Integrity? You're surrounded by tomato flingers, throat slitters, and spider stampers. And it doesn't stop there. Earlier this year, the Tories put forward a council candidate called John T. Campbell, who said, possibly the creepiest thing I've ever heard. Girls smell better at 16 than at 28. A, why would you say that? B, how do you know? Oh, she's 29. Feed her to the spiders. Can it get creepier? Yes, it can. He said girls aged between 16 to 23 have a buttery, sweet smell. You're right. They're women, not margarine. Oh, they're utterly. I can't believe I'm not on a register. There's more, man. He describes their smell as unbelievably magnetic. The only thing magnetic should be the tag on his ankle. Yep. It's so shocking. But it's not surprising. Did you know at a Downing Street Christmas party, they handed out a Sexist of the Year award? It's ridiculous. We've actually got hold of the nominees. The nominees for Sexist of the Year are Boris Johnson for presiding over a culture of misogyny in number 10, Dominic Raab for calling feminists obnoxious bigots, Boris Johnson for allowing a domestic abuse bill to be dropped, Neil Parish for watching pornography in the House of Commons, Boris Johnson for abstaining from Westminster votes on abortion, Boris Johnson for referring to women using their husband's name, Boris Johnson for talking about women's breasts, Boris Johnson for looking... Can we just accept that Boris has won this? Staying in politics. Over in America, they've just had the midterm elections, or, as Fox News puts it...
The midterms.
So what happened?
Now, voters in the United States have been taking part in the crucial midterm elections where members of the US Congress are elected.
How did that turn out? Well, a lot better for the Democratic Party than most polls had predicted. The red wave promised by the Republicans did not materialise.
No, it didn't. Mainly because most of their candidates were utterly insane.
If you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
The radicals want a drag queen in every classroom.
I'm not doing this for you.
My pronouns are patriot and ass kicker.
Pro-gun, pro-war, pro-life.
this is Republicans you're talking about. People like this.
I believe in Jesus, guns, and babies.
What I want to know, who the fuck doesn't believe in babies? Just, not real! Imaginary! Get this dwarf actor out of my face! It's mental. Did you see who Fox News blamed for the Republican performance?
Single women and voters under 40 have been captured by Democrats.
No poll saw that coming, and it was because these women just went crazy.
Now, I'm no expert, but maybe women didn't go crazy. Maybe, and this is just an idea, but maybe women voted against Republicans because they didn't want to live in a country that outlaws abortion. It's just an idea, I'm not sure. Mental, man. As with all elections, there was so much disinformation. Did you see this fake video of Joe Biden?
Ladies and gentlemen, and now our great national anthem. Baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark. Mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark.
It's so unbelievable, as if Biden could remember all those lyrics. If you want to undermine him, you don't need to make fake videos. Just film him climbing stairs. But some people genuinely believe that Biden sings Baby Shark. In fact, some people don't even think that Joe Biden is Joe Biden.
I mean, there's several different people playing Joe Biden at this point. And when he fell up the stairs going on the airplane, I myself think that that was Jim Carrey.
That's right. Jim Carrey is pretending to be the president. It's madness. Biden forgets, slurs his words and falls asleep. Surely he's Johnny Depp. Oh, that was too much, was it? What else do they believe? Nancy Pelosi's Kevin Hart. Barack Obama is the Wheelstone Raider. Next, you'll be telling me Trump's controlled by a ventriloquist, and this is the moment he put the fist in. And he's running for president again. Join me after the break where we're talking to the kids about their education!
We've been learning sex education and it's so many disgust in my head.
Yeah.
We are so disgusted by sex education, aren't we?
Welcome back to the show. Now it's time for Playground Politics. This week, me and the kids spoke about education. If you were in charge of school, what would you change?
Every school has a slide. I would make no learning and I would also have junk food.
So you want to turn us into America?
Everybody I don't like, I'll kill them.
Whoa.
I got an idea. I'm going to combine ice cream, lollipops, gummy bears, M&Ms and poppadoms together and see what I make.
But you know, my dog loves poppadoms.
I don't think your dog should be eating it.
Do you know what else my dog loves?
Eating human flesh.
No, he's not into that. Listen, I've tried.
Where would you feed the dog human flesh from? The dark web.
From the dark web. Wow. I mean...
Yes, you can get anything off.
I know you can get anything from the dark web, but let's move away from the dark web. Is there anything that isn't taught at school that you think should be?
How to blow up things.
Wow, this is dark, guys. For two 10-year-olds, I thought it was going to be like trampolining. But
that would be fun.
That would be a bit nicer,
Yeah, there's
wouldn't it?
like a whole room of trampoline.
That's what I mean. Let's just bounce. Let's bounce for a second rather than murder and making things disappear. What is the weirdest thing you've learned at school?
Like, we learned about the...
Yep. Stop pointing that. Yep, but I know what you mean.
Like when boys grew hairs on their chest and when their bodies change, it's like a mutant monster turns into a bigger beast.
It's like a mutant monster turns into a bigger beast. Is that how they taught you about puberty?
Yeah. Sex education. We've been learning sex education and it's so many disgust in my head.
Yeah.
We are so disgusted by sex education, aren't we?
That was... Yeah, we are, yeah. I don't blame you. What do you think school was like when I was young?
Back then, you probably didn't need to wear any school uniforms.
What?
You probably did. Didn't? Yeah, you do.
We used to wear ties.
Yeah, that's even worse, see?
It was. And if you had to have the thin bit coming out of your tie, and if you didn't, you got beaten up.
Nice.
What do you think school was like when I was at school?
You'd get bullied because you're a nerd.
Okay.
I think you were popular.
Really?
Yeah, because now you're famous, but when you was in school, you might have wanted to be famous, and everybody said, no, you're not going to be famous. Oh, don't bother. And what a good name is Russell.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Russell Howard.
You think it's a good name?
Russell Howard v. Batman. Oh, I think you'd win, because you've got all these people to help you.
So you think that the guys here, the producers, the cameraman, the chaperone, would help me defeat Batman?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's what they sign up for.
Would you do it, Pete?
Would you do it, Pete? Pete's the producer, by the way. Pete, would you defend me against Batman?
In a heartbeat.
There you go.
Good.
Thanks, Pete. Now, from the hilarious to the shocking, did you know that more than 2 million adults in the UK cannot afford to eat every day? No wonder people are trying to help. Marcus Rashford's feeding kids, Jack Monroe's giving recipe ideas, Jeremy Clarkson's pretending to run a farm. But here's the really messed up thing. There's more than enough. Every year, the world's farmers produce enough food to feed 1.5 times the global population. And here's a stat that will blow your mind. Each year, half the fruit and vegetables the world produces are wasted. We're spending billions on labour, equipment, soil, water, and flying this stuff all around the world just to put it in a bin. Imagine spending a fortune on something that nobody consumes.
Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yet, for some crazy reason, the supermarket industry throws away tons of veg a year just because it's not pretty enough. Whether it's a sneezy pepper, a circumcised chilli, or a titty potato. I mean, who's throwing that away? Sunday roasts are already amazing, now they're being served with tits. Do be kind, do be nice, thank you, baked potato. But let's be honest, it's not just supermarkets wasting food, it's us. The average British family throws away more than £800 worth of food a year. Bizarrely, chips are the most thrown away takeaway item. Who's throwing chips away? Not only do they taste delicious, you get amazing shop names like this. Let's be honest, we all throw away food. It's one of those things that you feel bad about, but you still do. Like watching I'm a Celeb, smelling your own farts, or getting your magic potato out and giving yourself a tit wank. Now, it's so crazy that British bins are better fed than some families. Think about it. We've got starving people and obese bins. Our bins are so fat, we've had to put wheels on them. We've painted them black to make them look slimming. They're so massive, they only move once a week. And while most of us feel bad, there's a whole bunch of influencers who don't give a shit about food waste. In fact, they're famous for doing stuff like this.
Pizza sauce! Mozzarella!
Some whipped cream.
Oh my goodness, that is so extra.
Pepperoni! Some fruit, just a little. And some off
They're such dicks. I mean, the problem is, when you watch that, you want to waterboard them with syrup. But that would be food waste. Luckily, the food is fighting back. So, what's the answer to this food crisis? Well, a lot of people think technology can help. We've got food sharing apps, freshness sensors, and let's be honest, not all of it is quite so useful. Your vibrator can now alert you when your food delivery is going to come. Is that really what we need? Food banks at record levels, and we've invented a dildo butler. Did somebody say, just beat? What has happened to the world? We don't need a talking dildo. We need a talking bin. A really aggressive bin that just gives recipe ideas. Roger that.
Whoa! You're throwing out Heinz and bread? You never heard of beans on toast, you fit fuck! Attack, dildo butler! Attack!
So I know what you're thinking. What can we do? Well, I'm not an expert, so I asked Martin O'Dell, the Lagom chef, who really knows his stuff, for his top tips.
So my number one thing is to have an incredible dry store. What do I mean by that? Having things like tinned food, pasta, rices, lentils, spices, stuff that doesn't go off. This is the backbone of any recipe.
One of the most cost-effective ways is to plan. Plan, buy, cook, eat. Simple.
If you're not going to eat the food, give it to someone else. There's some amazing charities and food banks that could do with the food, so just be mindful and eat the food you buy. So plan your meals, cook your food, and the number one thing is eat it. The solution to food waste in a home is eat the food you buy. See you later.
Amen. And I've got an idea of my own. If you ever have a food influencer around for dinner, make sure you serve them this. Join me after break when we'll have stand-up from the brilliant Glenn Moore!
It's an urban legend, it's probably not true, but apparently, if you stand in front of your mirror at midnight and you loudly say Ted Bundy 5 times, apparently your mum comes in and goes, what are you doing?
Welcome to the final part of the show. We've got a tremendous stand-up guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the wonderful Glenn Moore!
Hello, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. My name's Glenn Moore. I hope you're well. I hope you've enjoyed this year more than the last few years. My year's been a bit uneventful, I'd say, so far. I've only had one interesting thing happen to me in the past year so far, and this is a really self-indulgent way to start, so apologies. But basically, there was a girl in my life, okay? There was a girl who I went out with when I was about 13 years old. We went out for about 2 weeks, broke up, didn't talk again for years. And then at the beginning of the first lockdown, we suddenly got talking again, out of the blue. And we spoke loads, and we got really, really close. And the only reason I mention her straight away is because in about 18 months' time or so, she's going to officially become Mrs. Moore. So thanks. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, she just got engaged to my dad. Me and that girl were never going to work out, all right? She said I was too sensible, you know? She wanted me to have a braver job, you know, something bold, maybe something like a fireman and... firefighter, sorry, it's 21st century, sound like a firefighter. Or maybe like an early morning job, you know, something like a bin man, bin fighter, anything like that. I was just really... I was so sensible around her, always terrified about saying the wrong thing, you know, because we live in a world now where you're worried you can't say anything these days about people getting upset or offended, like you can't even say Happy Easter these days because apparently it's considered November. It's ridiculous. You can lose your job over saying the wrong thing. You can lose your job over a joke. My granddad did. My granddad used to work at a graveyard, and every time elderly people came in to visit, he'd say, oh, you're early? That's funny, man. He lost his job over that. Can't say anything. And my parents were very strict about me ever saying the wrong thing. I had very strict parents. Of course they were strict. They had difficult lives, difficult upbringings. My dad's earliest memory is of getting hit round the head with a cricket bat, all right, when he was 42. I can't imagine how hard it was, all right? course they were strict, you know. I was never allowed to play with toys or games, just had to read serious books all the time, whether it was about Winnie the Pooh or Winnie the Mandela. It was just books, books, books. Was never allowed to eat any fun food, was never allowed to buy anything from the ice cream fighter. It was bullshit. I hated it so much. The excuse my parents used to give is they'd say, Glenn, you can't buy anything from the ice cream van. And I'd say, why not? And they'd say, oh, because we've heard a rumour that apparently the ice cream man doesn't wash his hands after he goes to the toilet. And I remember as a kid thinking, like, neither do I. Like, and we both like ice cream. This guy sounds great. We've got a lot in common, you know? Such a sensible kid. I regret it. I was so sensible, you know? Never went on the wrong side of the tracks, never stayed up late, never stayed up till midnight. So I never did anything spooky, never did that spooky midnight urban legend, that Ted Bundy thing in front of the mirror. Don't know if you ever did that. It's say, look, it's an urban legend. It's probably not true. But apparently, if you stand in front of your mirror at midnight and you loudly say Ted Bundy 5 times, apparently your mum comes in and goes, what are you doing? I regret being so sensible, you know? I kept my head down, worked hard at school, and for what? Nothing I learnt at school helped improve my life skills or anything like that. In fact, I feel like everything I learnt at school felt like it became irrelevant the second I left. Like, I've got cousins who are like 8 and 9 years old. I get envious of them because everything they do at school is relevant. It's based on the future. It's done on laptops, it's done on computers. And when I was at school, not only did we never use laptops and computers, even though they existed, we weren't even allowed to use calculators during maths. And I remember asking the teacher at the time, Mrs. Garrett, why can't we use calculators? And her being like, well, Glenn, when you're walking around in public as an adult, you're not always going to be able to walk around with a calculator in your back pocket. Well, fucking well. Mrs. Garrett, times changed. Because it's 2022, I've got an iPhone in my back pocket as we speak, which has got some very handy apps attached to it, I think you'll all agree, and next to that, I keep my calculator, so fuck you, Mrs. Garrett. I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. No, it's bullshit. I've got a 9-year-old cousin who's learning how to code on computers at the age of 9. No one here was being told how to code at 9 years old. I certainly wasn't. At the age of 9, all I was being taught about was Tutankhamun, who, frankly, got given more airtime than necessary. I think we can all agree, featured very heavily in the first couple of years of school, did Mr. Tutankhamun, for reasons that were never really made apparent to any of us. Like, all the other kids at school would be complaining about algebra, be like, why am I learning about algebra? When am I going to have to use algebra later in life? Tutankhamun has yet to make his mark on my 30s to any extent. Or yours. Isn't tonight the most you've heard Tutankhamun mentioned since year 4? But I didn't question it at the time. At the time, I was like, I'm sure this is relevant. I'm sure this is just as important as everything else I'm learning at school, I'd say, as I sat down to label yet another igneous fucking rock. I didn't learn anything from school. You're looking at someone who found out last year that poppadoms aren't healthy. I thought they were because they're thin and don't taste of anything. But of course they're not healthy. They're crisps, but massive. It's like when I found out beef patty's not short for beef Patricia. It fucks you up. I don't know anything. This is how little I know. My oven broke 6 months ago. I didn't know how to fix it. I had to reheat my chips using my housemate's hair straighteners. Which is shit because, like, the best thing about curly fries is the shape. Right, I'll never lie down. My name's Glenn Moore. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Glenn Moore! Now it's time for good deeds. And a personal trainer on a mission to make exercise for everyone. This guy is incredible.
Jeez! Who can do that? I'm Javino, and I own the world-famous J7 Health Centre. Can I do abs, Jay? Yes. So, abs, you want a six-pack? Yeah. I offer free personal training sessions to anybody disabled or elderly, and I have done for 21 years. He's like a bear. I used to be a high-level cricketer. After I started to make the transition out of cricket, I got a job with Manchester City Council working as a sports coach. My first ever class was me and Brenda. Nobody else showed up.
It was months, it was just the two of us.
How you doing, darling? You okay?
I'd just had 2 hip replacements. I could just say such an improvement, so that's why I kept going.
Go 20. Hey, eventually she told one person. Before you know it, 1 became 5, 5 became 10. They got to the stage where we had 140 odd people every Tuesday. And I don't believe that my reputation within the community would be what it is if Brenda didn't stick with me.
Well, I love him to bits, but don't tell him that.
You see it going back?
It's not growing back, it's
Look
going
at that
back.
bit there, it's growing back.
So I have to keep him grounded. It's one of my besties now.
When people come through these doors, it's about energy, vibe and love. That's what I truly believe. Yeah. I'm obsessed with making you feel great about yourself. I'm obsessed with putting a smile on your face. And I think that's the key to being really happy. That's the key to being healthy. Oh, this man give me a cuddle! Jesus Christ!
Visual impairment, so I'm actually blind. I've got autism, and I've got a few other disabilities. I did go to a gym near me, and it was just a guy sat there with a phone. I keep going, it just wasn't the same. Got recommended to come here, and I love it.
Brilliant.
Best gym, best vibes, like family.
Come here, me little nugget.
When you go to a normal gym, they look at what you can't do. Javino looked at what you can do and how far we can push it, and it's just the most amazing feeling ever.
Yeah, stay there for me. 5 seconds, I got you.
He's just an all-round amazing guy. I love him.
3, 2, 1, press down hard as you can. There you go. Yeah. Go on, keep going.
More.
Keep going.
Denmark.
The fact that I've always trained disabled people and people with illnesses for free, that there will never ever change. PTs out there treat people normal. See the person, see the individual, don't see the disability. Wrap them and embrace them with as much energy and vibe as you can. Live, love, stay strong. Time. Good. Oh.
There you go. What an absolute hero. Thanks so much for watching the show. Good night, my friends. Good night.